Learning the cranial nerves. In this lecture, I provide tips on learning the cranial nerves by name, number, and function. The 12 pairs of cranial nerves are part of the peripheral nervous system. The brain and spinal cord compose the central nervous system. The cranial nerves originate on the inferior surface of the brain. Images in the text and your lab program show each cranial nerve and their branches. Understanding what the nerve looks like helps you remember its name and function. Cranial nerves are numbered with Roman numerals. The uppercase I represents the number 1, the letter V is number 5, and X is 10. The letter representing the largest number determines how a number is written. To determine the number represented by the letters, first locate the letter representing the largest number. Then add the numbers represented by letters on the right and subtract the numbers represented by letters on the left. For example, XI. The X represents 10 and the I is 1. The I is to the right of the X, so it is added to the X. 10 plus 1 is 11, so XI represents the number 11. In the Roman numeral IX, the 1 is before the 10, so it is subtracted from 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. So IX represents the number 9. When the brain is dissected, the cranial nerves are cut. Some cut cranial nerves are easy to spot, such as cranial nerve 1 with its bulb, and cranial nerve 2 arising anteriorly from the optic chiasm. Identifying the remaining nerves usually involves identifying and counting the pairs of cranial nerves. We are more interested in you learning what the nerve looks like, not in counting cut nerves. Again, look in your textbook and your lab program to see each nerve in its entirety, the whole nerve. To begin learning the cranial nerves, first think of your face. Cranial nerve 1 is the olfactory nerve with the function of the sense of smell. Cranial nerve 2 is the optic nerve, which provides the sense of vision. The nose smells odors and is the most anterior. The eyes see and are posterior to the nose. So touch your nose and say olfactory nerve, cranial nerve 1, and point to your eyes and say optic nerve, cranial nerve 2. So in the images on the right, you have a picture of the olfactory nerve and then the optic nerve. And the image at the bottom shows you how the nose sticks out the farthest. That's your first cranial nerve, and then the eyes for the second cranial nerve. Cranial nerves 3, 4, and 6 innervate eye muscles and move the eyes. Cranial nerve 3 is the oculomotor nerve. 4 is the trochlear nerve, which is the smallest cranial nerve, and 6 is the abducens. Before moving to the face, let's do the ears. Cranial nerve 8, the vestibulocochlear nerve, functions in hearing and equilibrium. Vestibulo for balance and cochlear for hearing. In the beginning, it helps to choose a mnemonic to help you keep the sequence straight so you can give the correct number to the name. There are many mnemonics. You can Google, use the one in your text, or make up your own. You have now learned the names and numbers and functions of 6 cranial nerves. Review and learn these before moving on. Now you have learned half the cranial nerves. Only 6 to go. Let's move to the face. Cranial nerve 7 is the facial nerve and enables facial expression, such as frowning and smiling, taste, tearing, and salivation. Cranial nerve 5 is the trigeminal nerve, named tri because of its 3 branches. But for function, we will learn that it innervates the chewing muscles. Clench your teeth and use all 5 of your digits, your 4 fingers and thumb, to press the hard muscle in your cheek. Cranial nerve 10 is the vagus nerve. Because it carries 90% of the parasympathetic fibers of the autonomic nervous system, it is known for its innervation of the thoracic and abdominal viscera. It is also involved in speech and swallowing. So Facial nerve is shown at the top, so you can get a feel for the face. I have an image of the skull. And then the trigeminal nerve is shown in the next two images with the skull and the brain. You can see how big it is, and you can see those three branches. And going in a little different direction than the facial nerve. And then the very tiny image at the bottom is the picture of the vagus nerve, cranial nerve 10. Like cranial nerve 7, cranial nerve 9, the glossopharyngeal nerve, detects taste. Glosso means tongue, and pharynx means pharynx or throat. So the name of this nerve tells you what it does. The pharynx is involved in swallowing. Cranial nerve 12 also moves the tongue, but is not involved in taste. You move your tongue to speak, chew, and swallow. Cranial nerve 11 is the accessory nerve. It innervates the pharynx and larynx, which is the voice box, as well as the sternocleidomastoid and trapezius muscles. This nerve is tested by having you shrug your shoulders and turn your head to the side. Now you have covered all 12 cranial nerves. Review and test yourself. Remember to push pause and make your brain work.